Welcome to the All Outdoors Photography Podcast. This podcast is about all things outdoor photography, including landscapes, wildlife, macro, and more. The show features two talented photographers, Henry Doyle and Ryan Taylor, who bring their different experiences in photography to the podcast. The show is released weekly every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. In today's episode, Henry and Ryan talk about spring photography and what they're most looking forward to. They talk about spring ephemeral flowers, warblers and other migratory species, butterflies and moths, and flowing waterfalls. Spring is an excellent time for outdoor photography, and they hope you're just excited to get out there and photograph it as much as they do.
Welcome back to episode 63 of the All Outdoors Photography Podcast, and today we're going to be talking about one of the best seasons out there, in my opinion at least.
No, I agree with you, man. We're talking about spring photography today, which is, I think probably, is it your favorite season for photography?
I've never really hit spring hard, but like this year I'm going to, so I think it'll become my favorite season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think once especially if you shoot like all things outdoor, that's very on brand for us, but like if you do that, like there's so much to see, which we'll cover in this episode about spring. Like for me, it's my favorite season just for that reason alone.
Mm-hmm. I find I have the most enjoyment outdoors too, just spending time outside in spring.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, there's just something about that, not to get all philosophical, but it's just like that time of like that season of renewal and growth, and like it just feels like after a long winter, it's just such a desire of it, I guess, too.
And it's been a long winter this year too. So many freezes and so much snow.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see the signs in Louisville of spring for sure.
I just feel like it's such a desire, especially after, like you said, a long winter. It's like as we're starting to get to, the starts of spring, it's like, it's a good time of year to really be talking about and what we're most excited for too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of planned it out too as well. It's good to say it out loud and just kind of start thinking about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but before we get into it, do you have any announcements or updates?
Yeah. So I've got some new gear recently. I finally got a good pair of binoculars. Let me actually look real quick. They are Celestron Outland X, and they're 8x42. So they're pretty far. I find it's about the same as my 500mm lens, which is pretty awesome. Lets in plenty of light, waterproof, fogproof. It was time, I had these mini, the ones I brought when I was shooting with you, Ryan, I actually lost. I think actually on that shoot. And then I was stuck with these mini Discovery binoculars that were so small, not that tight in. So it was much needed. So
sorry to interrupt. I think if I remember, you had those tiny binoculars with us on that particular day that we met up.
Yeah, I think I dropped it where the snowy owls were, honestly.
Oh, really? In excitement?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh, they weren't any good, so...
Okay.
I just hope no birds got injured by it or anything. But
it tumbled down the hill and hit the snowy.
Yeah. But these are great pair. They're not the main brands. I opted to save money, but it's just as high a quality. It's just not like Swarovski or Nikon or anything. So.
No, I mean I've heard of Celestron, and I think it's a pretty good brand. I mean, from what I've heard, I don't have a pair of those, but I've been rocking my Nikons for couple of years now.
Cool.
Yeah. It's funny enough, I just the other night, maybe a little bit out of boredom, but I just was searching eBay for some new gear. I bought a new pair of wading boots, but I also bought a pair of Vortex Diamondbacks, which are pretty nice. So
what are those? Binoculars?
Binoculars.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, sorry.
Nice.
I should have mentioned that. Yeah, but Vortex is apparently one of the better brands, and I found a used pair, so I was like, it comes with the hard shell case and everything. I got a good deal on it, so I'm looking forward to upgrading my bins.
Great. Yeah.
Come spring here, so
yeah. Those binoculars are going to be great in McGee Marsh. You may not even need them, honestly, but those will be great in general migration, general spring season as well. So
yeah, all year especially.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Awesome. Yeah, and then
Cool.
the one other thing I got, so I'm going to Nome, Alaska in the summer, and there's a list of pretty much like essential gear you need, just because this guy's he's done it many times and he knows like the distance of subjects, and a 1.4 teleconverter was one of them. So I got a pretty good deal on the Canon one. I could have gone with the 2X, but I've heard there's a pretty bad quality loss, so I just did the 1.4. And it makes my 500 millimeter lens at 700. And on a full frame camera, 500 is not always enough. So it's been nice at 700 millimeters.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard the same thing too with teleconverters. Is like you're sacrificing like basically at the expense of that further reach. You're getting less light and
Mm-hmm.
degradation and quality and sharpness as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
my 7.1 500 becomes a f10 700. So it's kind of going back to my f11 days. But so I know how to work with that though. So, I'm able to deal with that. And on a sunny day, f10's no problem. So.
right. Yeah, that works out.
Yep.
Cool.
Any updates
Awesome.
from you?
I've been kind of shifting gears in mindset and photography lately. Maybe temporarily, I don't know. Definitely, we'll see. But basically, I lent this film camera, 35 millimeter film camera, and I've been using that. I actually did 2 rolls of film in like 2 days, which apparently is quite a lot because the guy I got it from, shout out to Jeremy Mudd. He's a local photographer that I've met up with before a couple times, and we exchange messages and stuff every now and then on some like camera club groups. And he does great work, film and digital alike, lots of different subjects and stuff. But anyways, he was basically gave me these 2 rolls of film and camera and 3 lenses, and he's like, "Go out and shoot in a few weeks, and give me the rolls back, and I'll develop and scan them for you." And I was
Awesome.
like, offered it to me too. I wasn't even like asking him. He just like out of nowhere was like, "Hey, you want to do this?"
Completely free
So
too.
yeah, like he's just
Wow.
offering the film, and he's like, "I'll even develop and scan it for you," and then basically it's kind of like a not like a contract, but it's just like a little deal because it's a fun challenge. I mean, that's why I said yes. But it's this thing that's called Film February, which is apparently like some kind of I think it's like a global challenge of like shooting film in February, the month of. And so basically, sometime in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna once all the people that participated, locally speaking, around me, have developed the roles and everything, we're gonna have this like Zoom call, like a basically a virtual meetup, and talk about our experiences and share the photos and all that stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that, just as a way of meeting, I guess, other photographers or reconnecting with ones I haven't talked to in a while, and just talking about photography, of course.
Awesome.
So and yeah, and shooting film is something that's way out of my realm of knowledge. So like this whole thing's been quite a learning experience. I even filmed it in the field video for one of the 2 days, the first day actually, of me out shooting at some local parks and stuff. And so that's going to be released eventually, but I'm going to wait for the film to come back. Still need to send it back to Jeremy, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm a little nervous because of just, it felt like I was honestly like I was starting photography all over again, with learning exposure. And it felt like I was just starting over. I don't know.
Hmm.
It was a weird experience, but like now that I'm through it and gone through it and everything, it feels really like a weight off my shoulders. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the results are too.
And that manual focus too. Your enemy.
Yeah. No, actually, funnily enough, he gave me a Nikon N80, which I think was released in 1999 or 2000. And so it was one of the last Nikon film cameras. And because of that, like the body itself and the controls, it feels like and honestly looks like at a glance like a DSLR. So it's all the buttons are mapped out in such a way where it really does feel natural. Now, granted, I'm a Canon shooter by heart, but like I used Nikon in high school when I took film class and all that stuff. So it felt similar enough, but this camera like felt like a DSLR in a sense, just without that back screen,
That's
obviously.
awesome. Yeah.
And it was funny because you can actually map it, have back button focus, which Jeremy asked me ahead of time when we are messaging back and forth, and he said like, "Do you use back button focus? Because I have it set to that, but I can change it back if you want." And I'm like, "Nope, keep it."
Wait,
I use
so
it.
it does have autofocus?
Yeah, it does.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know
which is
it took me about 10 exposures to realize it because I was like, why isn't this working? And I like had to dial some buttons in and I was like, oh, because it's in the same spot as it would be on like, your mirrorless or your DSLR would be, obviously on the back. But yeah, so it works in much the same way. So and it's pretty neat. So it really felt like a natural extension or whatever you want to call it of shooting digital in a way. It really wasn't that different. I don't know. It was still fun, of
yeah.
course, but yeah, it just felt like it was a nice transition, but like it was definitely new enough and somewhat uncomfortable territory that like it was still exciting from like a challenge perspective and just like, yeah, growing as an artist, we'll say, creatively speaking, I guess.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
yeah,
It's always good to push your comfort zone, and that's definitely a drastic one, but um,
mhm. A little bit.
it'll improve your real photography or your digital. I shouldn't say real photography. It should improve your
I know
digital
what you
photography too.
meant.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, to tack on to that, digital is where I belong, I think. It just suits my self and style, I guess. But
Uh,
like I don't feel like I can ever break myself away from digital. I have mad respect for people that shoot purely film and like they do it so well. And I can only imagine how, much hours they pour into their craft and all that, of course. But so respect to them. But maybe, like I said, maybe this is a nice like little break, I guess, from digital just to try something new. Maybe I'll get back into doing film a lot more. Maybe it's funny. I actually said it in the video at the beginning of the video when I was recording. I said like maybe in a few years I'll only do film. I'll
oh,
put myself on the.
huh?
I mean, I was just like, I'll put myself on the record as saying it because you never know, I guess. But it's like
Thomas
we'll see.
Heaton, yeah, style.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
If only. But anyways, yeah, it was fun, and yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing the results.
Yeah, for sure. It's from my limited film experience. Like, I definitely see what you mean. Like, you really just focus more on photography, and it really is just completely different. Like, just completely different. Like, I mean, the same
Yeah,
principles are still there, but you have to think so much more. We take so much for
Y-
granted today.
yeah, yeah. I agree totally. But and it's like it's almost like I think it noticed what it really did was those 2 days it unlocked. It made me realize habits I've had for years with the camera, and like so it made me realize that like I felt like I was slowing down a little bit to think about compositions and stuff, but like at the same time, it kept making me like realize like I felt like I was rushing in a way to like complete the roles. Like I felt like a mission or a goal to complete. And like I
Hmm.
didn't really like that aspect, and that's totally my fault, of course, or whatever, out of habit. But like it made me realize how fast I move. And like so I don't know, maybe it's just like an idea for moving forward is to like slow down and really think about it
Hmm.
because I was also shooting handheld, which is another thing I don't do often. So like I had all these new kind of variables involved and everything. And so yeah, I don't know. It was a
Yeah.
learning experience, I think. And it really made me realize like the way I shoot, which isn't wrong, but like it just made me realize how I usually do it or have been and maybe like try something else.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, glad to
Yeah.
hear you've had a good experience with it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
so that's a big tangent, but
Yeah. I think
one
I think we'll do our announcement at the end. If you want, just our big announcement here, and
yeah,
we'll just
sure.
kind of get into the topic at hand. So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm excited about this. So
oh yeah. So,
hmm.
spring. It's sometimes I think in the general public it can be one of the most misunderstood seasons. Some people see it as the season of new life, new growth. Others see it as the rainy season. I guess that kind of depends on where you live too. But it's I mean, would you say it's your favorite? I mean, I know I said it's not quite my favorite yet, but what about you?
I mean, I would say it's definitely my favorite season in general and season for photography too. Um,
Yeah,
and I mean, do you want me to give some long-winded answer?
sure. I mean, if you have one, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so the way I see it, okay, so the way I see it is like, so spring is what, like mid-March through late May, early June, we'll say. And I think, I mean, for me, like specifically, I guess, is like, because I shoot all things outdoor, like I don't really narrow it down to like birds or landscapes. Like I kind of just do whatever I feel like or whatever the season or time of year may be. it's like there's certain parts of the year that like I shoot more of. Like in winter, I feel like I do a lot more birds because I like doing ducks and waterfowl, and there's more of those. In like spring, or I guess in summer, like there's more wildflowers. Maybe spring migration's over with. Like there's certain parts of the year that, and like autumn has foliage, stuff like that. In spring, though, it's like everything's just kind of firing off on all cylinders all at once. Well, not all at once, but like in the grand scheme of things, in the same span of like a month or two or three, it's like all these things are just going off, and like there's never like a dull moment. Like I always say that like there's never a 0 day in spring. Like you should always be going out almost every day if you can, because like there's just so much to see, and like I don't know, it's just there's, and I mean just to like rattle off, I mean you got bird migrations, multiple ones at that, taking off sometimes at the same time and overlapping. You got nesting and raising young of birds or any wildlife really, most of them. You have early spring, you have ephemeral wildflowers, which are probably some of my favorite subjects to shoot overall, honestly. You have just other kind of wildflowers, tree buds and leaves. They start, budding and blossoming and all that stuff over time. All the snow melts and all the ice melts, and you get flowing waterfalls all over the place most of the time. The temps warm up, so I feel like more people are motivated to go outside. And the only draw side between all that, or against all that, is like I'm susceptible like tree pollen and allergies, and that sucks because I like to be out this time of year. But like I feel like the pros outweigh the cons in this case.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like so much to see, and it's like it's overwhelming, but it's so exciting because it's just all rattling it off day by day, week by week, and there's just so much to see, basically.
Yeah, it's it builds too. Like it's not
Oh
so
yeah,
you don't wake up and it's spring. Um,
oh yeah, and
birds, wildflowers, all kinds of things. It builds up.
yeah, and it really is. It's starting about like right now as we're recording this at the end of February. Is like right now I've got there's these. If you ever heard of these wildflowers, they're called Scud Cabbage, and it's kind of like a weird alien looking plant, but it grows in very moist or acidic soils, and like primarily like wetlands and stuff. And those come around sometime in February, and I think they hit their peak in blooming in early March, and that's kind of like one of the earliest indicators of spring and warmer temps. And I mean that's pretty much like one of the the go-getters that sets off spring in general, and that's when I know it's like, all right, we're starting to get on track for that now. And from there, it's like it just keeps going until June, basically.
You're one of the only people I've ever heard that talks about skunk cabbage like as like an indication of spring.
Really?
It's kind of like your unique thing. I feel like I don't know,
Really?
like it's interesting, at least for me. Like
Really?
I think everybody
They're
has
not.
their different signs, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. Like to be fair, like I'm fairly involved in like wetlands. Like I'm not like like I don't have a degree, or I'm not certified necessarily, but like I'm very, we'll say, passionate about learning about wetlands, and there's a lot of them around me, um, and stuff like that. And I'm involved in a local nonprofit sometimes, but like I don't know, like it's a weird plant just because, and I think that's what fascinates it to me is like it's weird and different, and it's not like it's a wild flower, but it doesn't flower like I don't think of it like as a flower. It's not attractive and like what I mean. Like people think of a flower and they think of something that's like colorful or pretty. Skunk cabbage is like grossly brown or green when it's newly ripened, and it's a weird kind of alien shape, and the inside like I don't know the actual biological term, but like the inside like seed is like it just looks weird and almost like freaky looking.
Do you take
And
photos
like
of it?
yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
I have.
Interesting.
Macro, I mean they're actually pretty tiny. I mean like size of your fist maybe, and like if you look up some photos of them, anyone that's listening, it's like I think they're fascinating. And I mean I'll keep this brief, but it's like yeah, they're just neat, and like if you ever get a chance to see them, like when there's snow on the ground, they warm up. Literally the flower itself, the plant warms up, and it'll melt the snow around it. Like it'll bloom outside of it,
Huh.
the cold or whatever. It's pretty fascinating. So it's a neat thing, and like I don't know. It's just they're interesting to me, and like I feel like they're underappreciated for what they're worth. And you haven't lived until you like prodded one with your hand, because it has like a hard rubbery surface.
Really?
Like it has some like give to it. Like it's like, but it's like I don't know.
Do they
I'm getting
smell
weird now,
bad?
but like it's
Because
just
the name kind of seems like they would.
yeah. Yeah, I think if you crush them, like I wouldn't recommend stepping on them because they're pretty and I just wouldn't disturb the plant life. But like apparently, if you step on or crush them, it does emit like an odor, musky smell.
Oh,
Um, but I don't even think they're a part of this cabbage family. But I mean, they kind of like cabbage like a little bit, maybe. But besides the point, yeah, that's just basically one of the first indicators for me that spring's on the way. So
hmm.
that's what I go off of.
Yeah, that's interesting. For me, it's just plain old daffodils. Like, they're right in my front yard. When I'm walking outside or something, I see them. I know spring's about to be here. So, but it's interesting how you have that as kind of a sign, and you probably have to search for that a bit too. I mean, you said
Yeah.
swamps. It's not going to be in your backyard. So,
Oh no.
yeah.
Yeah, it's something, like I said, over years of experience and direct observation or just hearing advice from other people, it's like I learned where they're at, locally speaking, or just habitats you may find them at. And it's something you honestly, if you didn't know it was there, like I didn't know it for a long time, you would easily pass by it because they're just um, they just kind of blend in, I guess, with the landscape and stuff. But I mean, you can get close up looks at them, and they're honestly pretty cool. So.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, like from there, I mean, like you go into like March and April, and that's ephemeral season. So I mean, you got these wildflowers that like they're growing in woodland floors and below the canopy, and it's cool because those flowers are very short-lived. That's why they're called ephemeral flowers. But like the reason why they grow at that time of year in particular is because the tree leaves haven't budded yet and like leafed out the canopy. So that means the sunlight can pour in and let those flowers grow for a short time. But then by the time the leaves fully, give out and everything, it's like those flowers recede back in the ground and they're done. But yeah, but like some of those flowers are some of my favorite in the photograph, like bloodroot. Like that's, oh, dude, I could go on about that flower. It's one of my favorites to see every year. It's very photogenic. Some of my best flower shots, for some reason, are always tack sharp, are bloodroot flowers. And I don't know, but there's so many of them. It's just insane. And like I'm still hunting down so many species,
Hmm.
and I could go on and on, but
Yeah.
it's just so much fun. And like I said, it's like March and April are prime time for that. By May, you kind of get the more like uh, late spring, early summer flowers, and those just kind of stick around for a longer time. But like the ephemerals, man, it's like you got to be ready to know what you're getting after and go see them because like they will come and go in weeks.
Hmm.
But it's worthwhile.
What
I
is
recommend
what is
anyone.
that time frame for ephemerals?
Like March and April, most of them.
Okay.
Some of them start you got to just look up field guides. You got to do direct, like I said, direct observation or ask people that know, like botanists and stuff. If you want to see something particular, do your research because they all have a fairly strict timetable of like when they bloom and when they go away. Um, like I mentioned, Bloodroot, that's one of my favorites. That one I think is around for pretty much all of March and it's gone. Other ones they'll stick around and from the end of February to early April. Like it's weird and it's something out of my realm of considering because I just don't know it. But like they just all have this kind of just strict timetable of like when they come up, when they go down,
Hmm.
and like so it's just a matter of doing the research, which I feel like spring is a good time to really hunker down and really study the books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to really learn the subjects and all that.
Hmm. Yeah. So with wildflowers too, I mean, are you doing a lot of photography with that, or is it mainly just kind of an enjoyment thing?
Yeah, it's both. I mean, like one of my happiest moments, I guess, if it sounds kind of lame, but one of my happiest moments of like the year, I guess, is like seeing a snow trillium, which for Ohio is pretty rare, but like luckily they're more of like a southern Ohio species of a trillium flower. And every time I see one, the first time I see one, it's just like I just have to like stare at it in awe of it. Really, I know it sounds lame, but I just think they're beautiful. Same with the large flower trillium, which is actually the state wildflower, which is cool, and that's one of my favorites. Yeah, I mean it's a little bit of both. I like taking macro shots of them. I like doing experimenting, doing wide angle stuff with them, and having them like in the foreground if there's a nice big field of them, like Virginia bluebells, like I'll get a big field of them on the hillside because they like hilly terrain and woodland habitat. Um,
Hmm.
it's a little bit of both though. Yeah, I definitely appreciate what they are and put the camera away and just kind of look at them, really I don't know, smell them, feel them,
Oh my.
take a phone photo, take a, just, I don't know, just observe them as they are, I guess, as they sway in the wind, and then take some photos and move on. But
Yeah.
it's a little bit of both.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to get more into flowers. It seems like you're really into it, and it shows in your portfolio. So.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's easier than birds just because as long as you know when they come up, you can go to a certain place that you know they'll be at and
Hmm.
they're probably going to be there.
Yep.
And it's as easy as, I wouldn't recommend trampling them or going off trail, but like trying to find the best looking one if you want and photographing that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
And if
So
you
like,
if you want to get like specific lighting, you go back. They'll be in that exact spot, and
yep,
you don't have
yep,
to worry about scaring them. So.
exactly. Yeah. Birds are much tougher in that regard.
Ooh, yeah.
Lot more variables involved since they're much more mobile.
Yeah. For me, when it comes to like plants in spring, I almost get more excited about the trees blooming.
All right.
You can get some really unique stuff. I don't have a dedicated macro lens I own, but just a telephoto, you zoom in on some of those buds. I have a dogwood tree in my backyard that blooms, a nice pink color. We've got a redwood. I just go to local parks. There's this invasive plant. I don't know what it is. It is invasive, but it's yellow. It covers the entire ground. Just stuff like that kind of completely transforms the spring landscape. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, native dogwoods are beautiful, man. I mean, like those buds, I've seen some of those. I don't know what particular dogwood species it is, but like in summer, look at those white buds, and they're quite beautiful too.
Hmm.
Is that invasive? Do you think it's like a honeysuckle of any type or something?
It's not. No, it's native.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, trees are great, man, but I feel like I'm more well versed in like wildflowers. I don't know. I just feel like I'm more drawn to them. But
Uh
like
huh.
trees, man, yeah, you're right. I mean, like you can zoom in on some buds or do a macro or an intimate landscape, and like you can get some really, really cool stuff with those too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm.
It's different than on the ground flower photography. I think it's
Yeah.
easier honestly because you can get the clean background and I don't know. It feels like it takes less creativity, which is sometimes what I need because some of the other subjects in spring, it takes so much stuff out of me, to find them. So it's kind of nice just to go to the backyard, shoot some dogwoods for an hour or so. Uh, yeah, I really enjoy it. I'll definitely be doing that, and hopefully get some birds on those branches too with those dogwoods.
Yeah, that sounds great. That'd be a nice backdrop for them too.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess with the wildflowers, especially because like I said about the slower kind of like pacing of it in a sense, like when I'm actually there in the moment, like I really hunker down and make the best photographs I can. So like I will spend quite literally like an hour or two in like a 10-foot space, just like moving around, experimenting with angles, focal length, focus stacking, you name it. Like I feel like it does help me slow down to be like, how can I take this little itty bitty flower that's only here for like a couple weeks and make it something really beautiful that I can like appreciate all year,
Hmm.
like something like that. But yeah, I totally agree with you there. I mean, like yeah, trees are great too, and it's like it's just depends on what kind of approach I guess you want to take with
Hmm.
it too.
There's just so much to shoot in spring too. Like it's just
Oh.
it's you have to like pick and choose. I feel like.
Yeah, and that's why I said there's like it's almost like there's no 0 days. Like you don't
Uh-huh.
like skip editing, like save that for summer or something, like if you can.
Winter, honestly, like at least me, I'm not
Oh,
gonna have
dude.
time in the summer to edit my spring stuff.
I get real antsy if I get backed up on editing like a few days worth, like I get so antsy. I don't know why. Like it's almost like I can't sleep. It's terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like I force myself to edit even if I'm like, man, I have to skip a day when I could be out, but it just depends.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh
But yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, I think kind of the main thing with this, I think kind of what we're both most excited about, is the migration or the multiple migrations,
uh-huh.
that come in the spring. Um, so I mean, basically, you just get, you know, other times a year, you've got your nuthatches, you got your cardinals, you've got your wrens, your sparrows, but spring it just completely explodes. Are they considered tropical birds?
Which ones?
Warblers?
No. Tanagers they're neotropical. Like tanagers are, I think Orioles are too. Warblers are kind of. I mean, they're migratory, of
Okay,
course, but like
yeah.
I don't know if they're necessarily tropical.
Well,
Um,
you get these almost like exotic birds. I mean, they
they
are
they look
exotic. Yeah.
they look like compared to, I don't know. It's just, I think it's just the variety of colors and this like the style of bird. Like there's just so many different kinds that like pass through during, especially during spring migration, of course, that like are unlike anything else you see. I think, is that kind of what you're going for?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
just it's something that it's magical once you see your first warbler and you realize how different they are, from the common species you see throughout the year.
Yeah.
Um, and it's really a challenge because if you know the songs of warblers, you'll hear them like all the time in the spring. But to get them to come down low and to get a nice frame filling shot of them, it's very challenging. I know for me, last year I didn't really focus on warblers. I only got like maybe 2 shots that I liked. So
Yeah, it just comes with practice too, I guess. But yeah, it's definitely a good point raising is like there's so much going on in spring in general, but like even if you're honed in on birds, everything is singing at once. Like literally from dawn till dusk, you'll hear the robins before sunrise, and then middle of the day, you're still hearing stuff, and like none of the birds are shutting up, which
mhm.
in of itself isn't a bad thing because that just means like birdsong is about finding a mate and establishing territory and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I mean, it's for a good reason for to ensure their survival, but like it also helps us as birders to like find them and identify them. And if you can master a lot of those woodland warbler songs or anything that migrates, like it'll pay dividends really in just your discovery and sightings of them as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm getting there on the songs. I've been studying my guidebook, so I'm
That's
getting there.
good.
Yep.
Yeah, the problem is there's so many of them too, so it's like
Mhm.
trying to remember all of them, and then like if you're in like a hemlock mixed forest, like you got all this crap going on, like sounds, and it can be overwhelming. The spring in general is overwhelming, but it's like it's exciting too at the same time.
Yeah, it's it's just very crazy, like the amount of the research and the excitement. Like this guidebook, I've been diving way into it, and there's just so much that all the habitats, and you're thinking, oh, I've walked through this habitat in spring, and I'm sure it's there. I just wasn't smart enough to stop and wait for it.
Right.
So it's really just, I suggest, if you don't have a guidebook, just do some research online. Pick a couple target birds. We'll get into those later. Ryan and I both have lists, but pick some of those. Look at their habitats. Try to memorize their songs the best you can, and just go out there. You might find other things, and don't be afraid to shoot those too. But if you look for those target birds, you'll eventually find what you're looking for. So
Yeah, for sure. Even going to much more I guess concrete example is just like listening to the songs of the most common birds, the non-migratory birds, and learning those, and then you can basically upgrade to these other birds that are much more specialized, we'll say,
mm-hmm.
and like I feel like it helps because then you can differentiate and go, oh, I'm hearing a blue jay, I'm hearing a robin, but that right there sounds different, and I know that's probably a migratory species, and you can go from there using like an audio recorder or I don't know, some kind of like audio ID app, or just asking people if you're with a group or something. Like,
Yeah, I think Merlin does that actually. That audio
yeah,
ID.
oh, dude, okay, yeah, they have that
Uh-huh.
option now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great point though. Filtering it out, you can rule out what it is not, and yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the best examples is the blue-gray gnatcatcher. You ever had any encounters with that?
I have not. No.
Oh, really? Dude, yeah. I mean, like in April, I guess. Yeah, April and May, I'd say especially, but they stick around for most of summer. They're this super tiny bird, but they're kind of like I don't think they're in the kinglet family, but they're kinglet-like in the sense of they bounce around and never stop moving. And they're very tiny. very cutesy little like kind of baby blue kind of bird with an eye. I think it's like an eye ring, a white eye ring.
Hmm.
Um, and they make this little like buzzy sound, and like they're very approachable. Like they'll be right in front of you. They'll bounce down the lower canopy. They'll be eye level. They just kind of bounce around and flit about, and they make this little like buzzy sound that's indistinguishable in spring. And so I hear it all the time. And getting shots of them, I'm not gonna say it's easy, but like it's very possible if you're patient. So like if you hear one, just stop, look up, look around, try and find it, and then zoom in on it or be patient until it gets a better view of it, and then photograph it.
I've probably heard it so many times before too, and I just didn't even know.
Yeah, look up the audio. You probably have.
Hmm.
They're pretty common, at least in my neck of the woods. So they probably are for you too.
Yeah. So you want to go ahead and get into some of the target birds we've outlined here?
Yeah, sure. I guess one species. It's more of like a photo opportunity I'm waiting for. It's one species I hear plenty of times. I'll say in spring. One I've seen a couple of times through my lens, but far away, so it's not like it's basically a documentation shot. That'd be the northern parula. That's probably one of the most indistinguishable like bird song I would say overall. I mean, like that descending trill or ascending trill of like the. I'm not even gonna try it. Should I try it? It's like a, and it just like it stops on a single note. So it rises and it just like cuts out
Great
instantly.
job. Great job. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I tried.
I could
They
feel
do.
it. It was right there. Yeah.
I immersed you in spring now. Yeah,
Yes.
but they're a very beautiful looking bird. They have like a yellow throat and breast and like a almost like a sky or slate blue back
Hmm.
and stuff. They're very striking and beautiful, but
Very unique for sure.
yeah, unique in plumage, and the song itself is very just I would say honestly easy to spot out. It's probably one of the easiest warbler song to identify, especially in early mid spring. I think they're one of the earliest arrivals here in Midwest. So yeah, I mean that's one that I'm always looking forward to seeing or hearing. That is, or both. But getting a photo of is really tough because, like with most warblers, they favor the higher canopies for whatever reason. So yeah, so you probably heard the dreaded warbler neck, and that is when
Yep.
you look up so much. Yeah, we've all been guilty of it. When you look up so high and you're trying to look for those birds, and because they're all just high up in those trees, and it's hard to get a good view sometimes. And the Parula is no exception, so they're always up there. So it's hard to get a good view of them.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they're I've heard that for sure. There's some of the higher ones, right? They really like to stick up there.
Yeah, I think they're one of the most likely the favorite too. Yeah.
I've seen one northern parula. It was last spring, and it came right eye level. Wouldn't you believe it? My old camera could not focus on it. So,
Oh no.
yep. But I saw it. It was awesome. So it was cool.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm definitely gonna
Um,
go back to that spot because warblers like to go back to the same area. So.
Maybe it'll favor the same perch and everything too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
We can dream. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That's cool though.
Um.
Um, you want to list one up?
Yeah. Sure. So
Okay.
I live around a lot of swamp habitat. So I'm in the Ohio River Valley area. So we've got the area around the river, which has lots of kind of marshy areas that get flooded quite frequently. I live near a wildlife refuge about an hour away called Muscatuck, which is pretty much entirely hardwood, like bottomland forest. And that is both that swampy area and that hardwood forest is, great for prothonotary warbler. I've never seen one, but I've done a lot of research on them. Ever since I started looking at warblers, I'm really drawn to their kind of unique yellow shade. It's more orangish yellow, I would say. It's kind of more towards the warmer colors. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's still yellow, but it's a little less intense than the yellow warbler.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of visualizing that shot, having it kind of small in frame with a beautiful, kind of flooded hardwood forest behind it. Something like that. It's kind of a dream shot for me there. So yeah, it's just kind of a unique warbler. I think for my area, it'll be a pretty easy find.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good that you mentioned about being situated near the Ohio River Valley because a lot of these warblers, they do favor being near water. And so, and the Pathonetary is no exception. Like they love being near creeks or rivers. And like, that's like the best spot to find them is like the woodland and the areas surrounding that edge habitat. So yeah, that's a prime spot for them, at least habitat wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So, what's your next species?
Well, that was one of my species, but yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that. That's one I'm definitely looking forward to as well. I have one close-up shot of it from I think 2 or 3 years ago, but like it has a big branch in the way, so it's like kind of salvageable, but not really.
Oof.
But yeah, that's a bird that I'm always eager to see or photograph, especially. But if I get to see it at all, I'm cool with that too. One that's been a little bit of a nemesis for me is the Hooded Warbler, just because I feel like
Oh,
it's such an easy one to identify. Like it's hard to mistake it for anything else. But for some reason, it seems to elude my camera, and I've only been able to hear it, I think, once at a local state park. And so it's like I know the local patches around me to like look for them and hear them, but like I just never have luck with them. Given that's pretty surprising because they are one of the few warblers that favors the lower canopy. So I feel like it would be a lot easier, but like I don't know. I just don't have quite as much as luck with them. So I'm hoping this spring I'll finally get some good views of it. Hopefully some good photos too. But it shouldn't be too hard, I think.
yeah, that's one of the more common ones, I think. So,
Yeah,
uh, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing those.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
yeah. So, kind of sticking with the warbler section. The other one I said was pine warbler, but since I've written this script, I've actually looked more into the yellow warbler, and I realized I don't have a single shot of that. So I'm gonna kind of prioritize yellow over pine. They're pretty similar looking, um, and I just want to get like really really good yellow warbler spots or shots. If I can get that on like a dogwood tree or something, that'd be awesome. So
Funny you say that about common warblers. I feel like the yellow warbler is one of the most common, at least
uh
where
huh.
I'm at. Yeah, I mean, like it's honestly probably the easiest to identify of any warbler. Even the song's pretty common. Like it's not really a complex song, if I recall, but just like the plumage is indistinguishable. It's just an all yellow tiny bird. I mean, it can't be that hard, right? And like the variety of habitat they're in is pretty easy, I guess, to I guess find it at really. They seem to be in a lot of different areas, mainly wetlands, I feel like, and kind of marshier areas, but like you probably find them in a few woodlots or kind of like edge woods or whatever too.
Yeah. I think I've seen a couple there, like on the edges. But I also see them on power line roads. Um,
Really?
so yeah, if you look at like the cut down, same for prairie warblers as well. So you know what I'm talking about? Like it's like in the middle of the forest, and then you'll have a
Yeah.
power line running through. That's great for warblers. They love those edges. Birds in general, they
Also,
like what's it called? It's a
woodlot or
ecotone. Yeah.
oh, I was gonna say power line clearing or something.
Well, yeah, that specific, but
Yeah.
warblers in general, they love ecotones, kind of the crossing of two biomes.
Microbiome?
No, it's called
Micro.
ecotones. So it's
Oh,
like,
is it really? Okay.
yeah, I watched a video about it. It's like two different environments, kind of where they meet, especially when there's water in one, and then like the other's a forest or something. So like maybe if you're looking for black Burnian warbler, which is another one of my targets. Maybe look for a hemlock forest, but also look for that water source nearby. Kind of get the best of both worlds there, and that'll increase your chances.
Right. Yeah, I have some local gorges next to or in my area, and like they have like gorgeous pine trees around them. So like it's like a warbler haven, honestly. And some of those trails take you up on the upper rim of the rock wall, and
Ooh,
like so you're pretty much up on the top of those trees, and you can see yellow-throated, you can see black Burnian.
nice.
God, I mean, gosh, man, black-throated green. I mean, like there's just like so many different ones you can see. It's just really, really cool.
That's a
Um,
good point too, being up higher above that canopy.
oh yeah.
Hmm.
I had a scarlet tanager a couple years back, like right in front of me. Like I'm talking like five,
Yeah.
10 feet. It was like a quick blip of a moment, like almost so much, almost like numb, like froze myself because I was just ecstatic to see it that close.
Did you get a
Um,
picture?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best because it's kind of like late morning light, but like it's still a pretty close photo, and I actually got in focus. So it's still easily the best tanager shot I've got. One of the
Nice.
few that is, but and scarlet tanagers. If I'm talking about migratory birds, I think scarlet tanager is one of my favorites because every time I see one, it's like I almost second guess myself. Is that a cardinal? I can't tell. Oh, and I zoom in, I'm like, oh yeah, it's because it's like whenever I see them, I feel like I'm really close up on them too, just
Mhm.
by surprise.
Yeah.
And same with the summer tanager, which I mean, look up the bird call. I mean that bird call is, I don't know, it's one of the more distinguishable ones I would argue in terms of like migratory birds. It's just unique sounding. I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to mimic that one, but it sounds otherworldly,
Hmm.
but it's cool. It's really cool, and they're a beautiful bird as
Yeah.
well.
I've never seen a single tanager, so um, that's awesome. I'll
Really?
definitely have to check out kind of the gorge environments around me too.
Yeah, and well, one of my favorite trees. I don't know too much about trees. I'm not well versed in them as I should be though. Working on that, of course. But sycamores are one of my favorite trees. Just your common American sycamore, and yellow-throated warblers favor those trees. So like, I just look for sycamores and anywhere basically, especially near a water source. And like during spring, you're probably gonna find some if you're patient. The warbler that is, I'm talking about. Um, so that's
Hmm.
another one I'm eager to see.
Yeah. It's definitely patience too. Like in general with warblers, like you'll see one, but if you really want to get a good picture consistently, you'll just have to wait. Um, for them to come down. Watch their cycle. Maybe they land on one kind of lower branch. Set up. You know what I do? I climb trees sometimes. Uh, if you're by a road, get on top of your car, get higher, bring a step ladder. Uh, you know, whatever you can to get higher, because even a slight, couple feet, it'll make a big difference. So
Yeah, for sure. Um, it's unfortunate because there's not too many like low canopy birds, warblers or migratory birds. But I mean, we got to give a shout out to like the ground dwellers, like ovenbird, ones like that. If you're near lots of water sources with like little creeks and everything, you get water thrush, like Louisiana or something like that. And those are much more of a ground level kind of birds. So like, not all birds are up in the higher canopy this time of
mhm.
year or whatever too.
Yeah, it's you just gotta kind of look at the behavior of the bird, see
Mhm.
what they eat. If that food's more ground based, they'll definitely be more in that ground area. Uh, plan your support too accordingly. Like if you're shooting water thrush, maybe bring a skimmer to support your camera on the ground because you will be waiting for a while. But if you're shooting up higher, bring your tallest tripod. And I'd really suggest that step ladder. I've done it before. If you know a warbler spot that doesn't require a lot of hiking, just take it there, set up your step ladder, put your tripod as high as you can, and shoot from there. Uh, it works, and yeah, just kind of evaluate the situation.
Yeah, I mean that's a good idea. I think just depends on the application of it, I guess, or where you're at too. Um, that's a good point. Yeah, I think the only other warbler I mean, I'm eager to see all of them, of course, and ones I've seen previously. But like, I think black and white's one that I really want to get a shot of, just because
Ooh.
they are very beautiful and just the streaks along their entire body, and they're one of the more common like woodland warblers. And they almost have this kind of like nuthatch, almost woodpecker like behavior. Like they kind of scale the trees and
Hmm.
everything. So like you have to really look at each tree and really find like them because they almost blend in too in a way. As their name suggests, they are black and white. But like, yeah, I don't know. That's one I'm looking forward to seeing anyways too.
Yeah, that's one of my targets as well. And it seems like they're kind of in a variety of habitats too. So might be one of those ones that you don't always have to target. But you could find going in these different habitats for other types of warblers.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh-huh.
And then honorable mentions to like other migratory birds, like the orioles.
Hmm.
I know in 2021 that was like a banner year for orioles in general. I saw a stupid amount of Baltimore orioles and quite a lot of orchard orioles. Orchard orioles. It's a tongue twister. Those are great birds, very beautiful and striking with their just like, especially the Baltimores with their bright orange. I mean, that just stands out against anywhere in Ohio. It's unlike any other colors we see on those kind of avian life. And then in the summer, especially, you get the grassland songbirds like Henslow sparrow, bobolinks are one of my favorites. Meadowlarks. I mean, like the list goes on and on. Cuckoos, those are one of my favorites too. That's one of my favorite bird song to hear in the summer. Just
Are
look up like
are meadowlarks migratory?
I think so. I
I
think
don't
most.
think so, honestly.
I think a lot of them migrate. I think they can be year round, but like
Cause I mean I saw a meadowlark last week.
I think it's
Um,
kind of like I think it's yearly dependent. Like robins, you know how robins kind of like there's a lot of them in winters and then other ones there's not. I think it's kind of like that. Like you know what I
oh,
mean?
okay, yeah, that makes
I'm
sense.
not like I say like I could be totally wrong about that, but I believe it's like it's year dependent at random. I could be wrong,
Okay.
uh, but like yeah, you're right. I mean, meadowlarks are kind of around all year, but like I feel like in the summer or the spring and summer, like I see them a lot more than like fall and winter. But yeah,
Well,
you're
aren't
right
they
though.
also more bright in the summer too? So that might be why.
It could be and more vocal. Like we mentioned, it's much easier to spot birds or hear them. That is because of how much more bird song is going on that time of year too.
Mhm.
Could be that. And then also the Vireos. I'm not well versed in Vireos, but I'd like to be more because they're pretty beautiful and their songs are complex and cool to hear, I guess. And then of course our aerialist birds like swallows or swifts. Those are cool too, and stuff like that. Um, yeah, I mean, and then I don't even know backyard nest boxes, or I have a backyard nest box for bluebirds, and so that's something I look forward to every spring. And much like one of our previous episodes recently was backyard birding. That's one thing I look forward to in spring that I pay attention to is the growth and the stages of that too.
Mhm.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
think that's
awesome.
it for birds for me. Is there anything else you'd want to add?
Yeah, for me, I have a spotted sandpiper spot that's right by my house. I got some pretty good photos last year, but this year I'm really gonna like try hard to get a great shot. It's just along a creek bed. They forage around on these rocks, and they pretty much only fly between two spots, so they're there most of the time. Um, and I'm excited for that. That's kind of later in the migration, later in spring, if I'm correct. Is that
Um, no, I mean I think spotted sandpiper comes around like May. Usually May is like a good time of year to see them.
okay?
Like I've even seen them at like the busiest of community parks. I'll see one in like the mud flats near a pond, like a fishing pond. It's crazy, but like it's possible.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, I mean like you're not too far off from that, I think.
Awesome. Yeah.
But
And then
that's a good.
also I am heading to Florida in April. And I know it may not directly be migration, but you get a lot of those species that you might see in like the shorebird migration, but you get them a lot closer up, on beaches and that kind of environment. So I'm gonna look forward to seeing sanderlings, dunlin, red knot, just all these unique shorebirds on these sandy habitats. So
It's awesome. Yeah,
yep.
that's cool. Lots of variety and stuff you wouldn't see otherwise, like in Kentucky, for example.
hmm And then the summer, I'm doing a dream trip up to Nome, Alaska. A lot of warblers go up there. Um, I know there's tons of yellow warblers like everywhere. Like they're almost as prevalent as robins up there. Um, there's blue throats, which are these rare Arctic birds. Um, I believe they're a type of neotropical bird. Golden plovers, all kinds of stuff. Um, Also baby animals too. That's a whole nother can of worms. Um, Robin nests. I have a duckling spot. Goslings, just all kinds of stuff. I mean, have you done a lot of baby animal stuff in spring?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. I mean, I think late, yeah, it was April about 3 years ago, I think. I got some great horned owlets like perched up high
Ooh,
up in a tree. And because I kept hearing this raspy sound. I'm like, what the heck is this? It's just like a catbird or something? I mean, like, or like, what am I hearing? And then like I finally found it in a tree and it's like staring me down from like 80 feet high. and it's just like this little owlet, like almost grown up. I mean, it's still like an owlet, of course, but like you can tell it's been grown up over the past few months. Um, Probably since like January or February, I'd imagine when it was born. And like it's just like I could see its mouth opening. It's like "Rah," and just like it just kept doing that like a couple times a minute, like
Wow.
every minute, literally.
Oh,
It was pretty wild. And yeah, so other than that, I mean, like I mentioned a second ago, is like the Eastern Bluebirds. I keep track of their like stages of development and see. Hopefully, they can raise not only one but two clutches per year. And I get to see those bluebirds start from like just hatching. I mean, just eggs, then hatching, then growing, and they do it in like the span of a couple weeks, which is insane to me. And then they fly away and disappear out to the world. So. Um, like I mentioned, those local community parks are actually great places, I think, for spring photography because, like, I've even found orioles and warblers at my like busiest of community parks. It's insane. Spotted sandpipers. I found green herons, which is awesome.
ooh,
Like at these
nice.
busy parks too. It's insane to me to think you could find these cool species there, but you can. Um, and yeah, and at the same parks, I mean, you go there on any given day in like May, just because May seems like the best time of year for this kind of stuff, is that you find, yeah, Canada geese, goslings, mallard ducklings, even wood ducklings. Those are probably some of my favorites to photograph. And so, yeah, I get familiar with the spots that they're at, and I just go there every year. And it's like I say, it's easy to get the photos, but like as long as you do the research and the knowledge of it, it's you just go to the location and you can find them.
Hmm.
So yeah, that really helps.
Yeah,
Years of experience.
man. There's just so much. Like you saying that just brought up so many memories of like spots I need to go to.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I know of an egret pond. It's a very shallow pond. It's one of my favorite places actually, all times of year, just because of the variety. But in the spring and summer, you get hundreds of great egrets that just, it's not a rookery, but it's just where they fly in the mornings. It's amazing. You know, flight shots of egrets. You get the close ups. They're very cooperative, just because it's a very popular park. So uh, many people, I don't know why, but multiple times I've gone there now. They said, "Did you see the bald eagles down at the pond?" They're like, "No, those are great egrets." But that's how I know spring's coming too, when those egrets show up there.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't had much luck with looking for like heron or egret rookeries, but like I know they're around like the Midwest. I don't know. I don't have much luck finding them too
Uh huh.
often. I guess there's one such lake now that I think about it. Yeah, at a local metro park, there's one lake. It's a massive lake at that, but like I found like 50 egrets just perched on trees. So I guess that counts. But
It's
I mean,
awesome.
that's a cool spectacle, and I guess to like the non-birder, they may see that and go like, "Oh, eagles." It's a big bird,
Uh huh. It's white.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it's not. Yeah, close enough, right?
Uh huh. Yeah.
Uh, that's cool though. That's cool.
Uh huh. And that
And that
same
remind.
spot. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say that it just reminded me of with the eagles is like osprey are also pretty common during
Oh
migration.
my
So
gosh.
like
Yeah. This is making me
the
stressed, honestly.
this episode should excite you, not stress you. But it is kind of stressful in a way because like I my attention span cut like is null and void. Like I have an agenda, but it's just like I get so like in the field I get so easily distracted. So I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, warblers, and then halfway through shoot or some place, at some place, it's like, oh, there's this cool flower. Switch lenses,
Hmm.
like yeah, it's just overwhelming. I don't know. It's the most fun, but it's overwhelmingly fun.
See, for me, like, as much as I love the flowers, I think I'm just gonna have to go all in on wildlife, or specifically bird life. Like,
Really, for spring.
I really think so, cause like we're doing McGee Marsh with all those warblers. You know, um, I'm going to Florida, and from the limited time I'm going to be in Louisville, I really want to get some spots down. Um, focus on those. Get those egrets, get those unique warbler species. I think I'll shoot flowers in like harsh light. Maybe get up early in the morning, shoot warblers when I still can. Maybe do some flowers during the day, and then go back out at evening, do some warblers, something like that. But it is probably going to take a back seat just because of this is really my first year seriously doing this, so I just really want to hit it hard. So
I mean, that's totally valid, and honestly it makes sense because of just the timing of migration and
Hmm.
like there's I mean it doesn't seem I mean it seems like it because of how fast those warblers go in and out like real quick, most of them at least. But like it's still it goes by real quick.
Hmm.
Like that month or two, the month and a half really of like peak migration or a couple weeks of peak migration, it's like it's quick and like if you do the knowledge the forefront like research beforehand of like this species sticks around for this amount of time, you can kind of like, and if you know your local woodland or your patches, I mean, or just any place to go to, you can probably get that species hopefully, but like it just comes and goes so quick. So I mean, I think it's commendable to you to like really hone in on that particular subject matter just because of how timely it is too. So lots of wildflowers stick around until throughout summer. And like during summer, I'm not going to say there's not birds to photograph. There are plenty, but like the warblers aren't really quite in full numbers by then. And like shorebirds are one of the first to migrate in spring, and they're also one of the first to go at the beginning of summer. So like, it's just stuff like that, and it's always coming and going too.
Hmm. Yep. And I mean, man, like our McGee Marsh trip. I mean, that's just gonna be insane.
Oh,
Like, it's gonna be a cheat code. Like, there's literally, I watched the videos. There's a Blackburnian warbler, right in front of you.
yeah,
You
yeah.
have to use 100 millimeters because it's so close. It's gonna be insane.
Dude, I'm excited, and like especially that we're also going to be there for about a full week. So like, I
Uh-huh.
feel like it's one thing if we went there for like 2 or 3 days, even went there a day. I would feel like I'd be so like overwhelmed as like a tourist
Uh-huh.
almost. Like just I gotta see it all and get it all. But like we have a week, so like I feel like I can kind of like almost relax in a way and just kind of space it out. Like I don't have to see everything in one day. So like I feel like we're both gonna walk away from that with some amazing shots and just some like great experiences, of course, too.
And I hope we get that overcast light too, so we get
Hopefully, some of
all
those
day long.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe just like if half of those days could be overcast and the half be
Uh-huh.
sunny, I'd be okay.
Yeah, we do
Totally.
shorebirds on the sunny days, and then we do warblers on the overcast.
Or just yeah, dawn and dusty shorebirds, and then middle of day warblers.
Yeah, sounds
Or
good.
yeah, yeah, it's something like that. But man, and then just also butterflies, moths, like yeah, there's just so much, man. We could make 20 episodes about
Yep.
spring. It's just there's like I just feel like for the outdoor photographer, there's something for everyone. Even if you don't shoot everything, there's never a dull moment. There's always something to see. We didn't even really talk about waterfalls, but like
Oh
those are
my,
out.
that's a whole nother ballgame. Wow.
I mean, we talked about waterfall on an episode. I don't know which one off the top of my head, but like, so listeners can watch that, of course, whichever episode that is. I can't remember. Sorry, um, a while ago, but
Way
yeah, I
back,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, it's way back by now, but yeah, I mean, there's just so much to see, and it's. I mean, I just recommend, even if you have allergies like I do, just take some non-drowsy Benadryl and some eye drops with you and some nasal spray and get
Uh,
out there. It's worth it. It's worth it.
yep, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we'll do more content about spring. I think we should do migration episode or a migration wrap up maybe
Okay.
in the summer, and I'm sure we'll do plenty of biggest week content, both on the podcast and on our own YouTube channels and Instagram feeds. So yeah, I mean, I'm just excited personally. I I like to look at my Instagram feed, not because like I just like looking at kind of what I've been shooting lately, kind of the color palettes, that kind of stuff. And I can't wait to see that color come back, because no matter how hard you try, you can never add that color in winter. Like it's just not there. So
I mean, yeah, it's just like as spring goes on and then it gives way to summer, like there's just this overwhelming pop of color. And like even if everything kind of like turns green, at least leaves or something, but like you got colorful birds, you got beautiful flowers. I mean, like flowing waterfalls. It's just everything, man. It's yeah.
yep, super
It's
exciting.
just yeah, and like yeah, I'm looking forward to our trip and seeing what you get for photos and everything, and it's just gonna be a good time.
Yep,
Mhm.
sure, yeah.
Awesome.
And I think that's a great place to wrap it up. But before we go, Ryan has a special announcement about a presentation we're doing. So
Yeah, so both Henry and I have been invited to the Out of Chicago. It's basically a live conference virtually this year. And so basically, we're going to be on a panel discussion with actually Corey Hart, which was one of our former guests on the show here. He's a landscape photographer. And so that will be, I believe, March 11th. That's a Friday from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so Out of Chicago is basically I think it's like a multi-day event with different panel discussions and all these different kind of like live virtual webinars and stuff. And it features like some big names. I mean, we got like Nick Page on this thing. I think David Johnson's on it as well. Like we got
Yep.
some there's like some great names on there, but like the three of us are going to be basically having a live, it's almost like a podcast episode in of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And the topic is basically giving out tips and advice to people like young and up and coming photographers, especially. And so we're going to be talking about different basically revenue streams or avenues to explore promoting your photography. And so, with us representing the show, we're going to be talking about that quite a bit. And, with Corey on as well. So, I mean, we're looking forward to it. And we hope you can hop on there because I believe it's free. So, I mean,
Yep.
why not?
Well, you have to pay for attendance to the event.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
but once you're in, it's all free.
Access to everything, not just
Yep.
our recording.
And,
So,
it's a happy hour, so there's prizes and everything. More details on that will be announced later. But
Yeah.
it's always a great time. People ask tons of questions. I didn't present last year, but I attended Out of Chicago last year. Super great. Like even if you can't catch our presentation, if you pay for it, you get the recordings for up to a year, so you can go back and watch it. It's just super great time.
yeah, definitely. And it's going to be like a very kind of like our show, really. It's going to be like a laid back conversational atmosphere. But the cool thing will be it's centered around a topic like a lot of our episodes are, and something that really we haven't talked about in the show, at least at length. And yeah, it's going to be live. So, I mean, like you can pop in with questions and just enjoy the experience and hang out with us, really. So, we're looking forward to it.
Yep, for sure. And I think that's it for today.
Yeah, definitely.
Great talking about spring migration. It's very exciting for sure. So,
Yeah, I agree. So, yeah, we hope you're looking forward to it too.
and we'll keep you guys updated. Stories, posts on individual accounts, videos, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much for watching and listening, everyone. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much for watching the All Outdoors Photography Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the video version on YouTube as well. You can subscribe down below, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.